Hey everyone, this is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean on Between the Lines. And you know how I start my show up, always with gratitude. I'm thankful to be here. I'm thankful to be above ground. I'm thankful to witness the beautiful day today in Trinidad. It's sunny, it's bright, there's some nice little puffy soft clouds. How do I know it's soft? Because it looks soft. And it is just beautiful. And I'm just thankful to be here to share with you another one of my episodes with Dr. Don. Dr. Don, oh my gosh, Dr. Ron and Don rhymes. Dr. Ron Dalrymple.
That happens a lot.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. But before I do that, let me tell you what we're talking about, the true power of your mind. Yeah, the true power of your mind. Let me tell you a bit about him. Dr. Ron Dalrymple is on a mission, like we all should be. He began working at NASA at the age of 17. Isn't that awesome? And by age 19, he made a discovery that changed his life forever. He realized many theories of psychology that could be explained by the principles of higher math and quantum physics. He set upon a mission in life to prove his theory, quantum field psychology. Ron is a psychologist, an author, producer of his new film, The Endless Question, which is on Amazon Prime for free, which is now free on Amazon Prime. Yeah, so those of y'all who are on Amazon Prime or who want to check it out will have to create an account with Amazon to get onto Amazon Prime to see that. And a little later on, we're going to have a look at his website just to get to know Dr. Ron a little bit more and to know how to reach him if you want to get to know more. So welcome, Dr. Ron Dalrymple, to Between the Lines.
Well, thank you, Corinne. Great pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Yes, it's great to have you. And you're talking about a topic that I'm very passionate about, the power of the mind. Off air, we were talking about protecting my mind, you know, and if it reaches to the point of blocking people to make sure that my mind is protected, I will do so. I will do so because the mind, above all else, and it is above all else because it doesn't exist, but we think it's in the brain. And when we think of the mind, we think the brain, but the brain is not the mind. And the mind is the one place, if somebody wants to control you, manipulate you, get at you, that is where they go. They attack your mind, because once they attack the mind, they basically have you where they want you. Yes, they basically have you where they want you. So the mind is a place where you should protect at all costs, as far as I'm concerned. And it is to the point of being careful with who I surround myself with, the conversations I hold, what I watch, what I listen to, where I go, the energy, you know, that is around me. I am extremely careful of that. I don't know if that has anything to do with the quantum field psychology that you're going to be sharing with us, but I would love to hear more.
Yes, it does. In fact, the idea is that the mind is an energy field which transcends the physical brain. So it's not just a brain or a subset of the brain, as many theories have espoused over the years, but that the mind transcends the brain. This first occurred to me, as you mentioned, at NASA. I started there at 17 years old, working at Goddard Space Flight Center. I started going to college at the University of Maryland, studying math and physics. And 2 years into it, I started taking psychology classes. And then in November of 1969, which I guess really kind of dates me, but you know, that's what happened. I was coming home from NASA on one really dark, cloudy Friday evening in November 69, and I was asked a question: can you explain the theories of psychology with the various laws of physics and mathematics? I said, by a thunderbolt, if you thought of the mind as an energy field, you could explain those theories and put them under a new paradigm completely. So I began to research that. I still stayed in math and physics, started taking a lot more psychology classes, and eventually left NASA and got out of college in 71. Then traveled the world for a number of years. I went over Europe, eventually to Asia, many other places, South America, researching different institutions, also languages, culture, people, to figure out how the mind really works, a lot of different points of view around the world. And then I realized I had to go back to grad school to put it all together. So I went back to grad school in 1980 at the University of Maryland, got my doctorate in 84. And since then have taught by now about 20,000. I've worked with 20,000 people as patients and taught a lot of college classes also, and did seminars around the world and so forth. So I've been working on this for a long time. And in 2004, I wrote a book, Quantum Field Psychology, in Aviano, Italy. I was teaching
Wow.
for up in the mountains. Yeah, it was really great. I published a few books before that. One's called The Inner Manager, which is a complete mind development course in itself, available on Amazon. Also, 8 Days of Creative Power. Also, I Love You, God, which is a book of aphorisms to help shift into a more divine focus of consciousness.
Mm.
So, a quantum field psychology looks at all the fields of different psychological theories and psychotherapy and so forth, and combines it with quantum physics, topological mathematics, and calculus, put it into a whole new paradigm, a whole new rubric, which I have to tell you upsets a lot of people.
It
So
does, and I'm sure it would.
Yeah, exactly right. And talk about being attacked. I mean, I've been attacked since I had the ID originally, and 19 years old. I've gotten a lot of insults, a lot of put downs. We're getting, in fact, trolled now. We have the film on Amazon Prime, and it's, like you said before, it's free. We get a lot of great 5-star reviews. We also get some trolls attacking us, who we think works for some other film. Yep.
Once you're deciding to do something against the grain, Ron, you know that people are going to, because they want, like I said to somebody the other day, there are people, society, the consciousness that's out there is one of control. And from the time you deviate from anything that is not necessarily written, the unwritten rules, from the time you deviate from that, it's like what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? We are here to make sure that this remains this way. We are supposed to think this way, behave this way, act this way, walk this way. Who are you just to question what has already been established?
Exactly. And it gets into mind control and mind manipulation.
Yes.
Control the major media, movies, TV, whatnot, publications, put out certain thoughts and whatnot, and certain beliefs they want us to ingest, so we can be guided or misguided, controlled, and so forth. But our point of view is really what's also called the conscious freedom movement. In fact, there's a webpage we have called the Conscious Freedom Movement. It's on Facebook, about the idea we all must be independent thinkers and rely upon our higher consciousness, the higher mind.
That's right.
Follow a higher path, walk the higher path, do the right thing, have the attitude of gratitude you mentioned earlier, constantly try to help other people, lift people up to help change the world one person at a time.
That's right. That's right. So the thinking, okay, you years ago, you started with this quantum field psychology when you were asked that question. But prior to that, let's look at the Dr. Ron before and the Dr. Ron when you came into this type of thinking. How would you compare yourself to the Ron before?
Well, actually, I made this discovery at the age of 19. So it was while I was a junior at the University of Maryland in the fall of 1969. That's when the idea hit me. And it has guided my life. I was going to stay at NASA before that as a research scientist in math and physics. And it all set up would have been a nice, easy, 30, 35 years. Instead, I chose a much more difficult path because, as you mentioned, we go in a different direction. You get a lot of opposition. But I've had these ideas since then, and it's guided my life since then. I went back to grad school in 1980, in fact, to get a doctorate in psychology in order to put this theory together. And I worked afterwards, seeing a lot of patients to see what really worked in therapy and what didn't. And I taught for the University of Maryland overseas program in Japan, Korea, Italy, Sicily, and so forth. And it was in Sicily in the spring, April, in fact, of 2004, I wrote the final version of a theory called quantum field psychology. We're now working on a second level of it, getting to electromagnetics of the mind and the body and so forth. But then we realized that it just wasn't enough. We had to make films also to reach a much larger audience. So we produced, I went to film school then after that, the International Academy of Film and TV here in Florida, where I am now. We produced a film called Paradise Found 2015, which is about the discovery of quantum field psychology. Our current film just released, The Endless Question, is a documentary, a 2-hour documentary, interviewing different people who have insight to this. We have a lot of really great people like Linda Seacrest of Natural Awakenings. We have Yogi Gurudev from North Florida. We have folks from the West Coast. A lot of really brilliant, insightful people about how the mind works as energy. So we put together this film. We also found that Nikola Tesla said some very similar things back when he was alive in an earlier interview of 1899 about the mind as energy. And he said that once we start to investigate the electrodynamic aspects of the mind, we're going to find real discoveries about human nature. And he's exactly right. That's what this theory in this film is all about. It's combining all these different levels together to create a whole new paradigm which integrates these previous fields together. And our intent long term is to help create a vision which can help integrate the world as one people. We're all one people, and stop all the tribal thinking, stop all the fighting each other, attacking each other, get involved in the lower dimensions and so forth, which causes so much conflict, and which is played upon, as you mentioned, by those who want to manipulate the mind, manipulate the people for their own benefit. So instead, we want to create a whole new paradigm where we see ourselves as connected to each other and to a higher power to bring a whole different world to Earth. It's supposed to be, the Earth could be a really beautiful place. The Garden of Eden could still exist here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
trampled exactly by lower forces. Yeah, go ahead.
So the thing about it is you have this information now since you were age 19, you came upon it and you basically took it and ran with it. And
Right.
it has become a part of your DNA, your belief system, because you totally believe in it. And I'm saying, look at the Ron that you are now and look at the Ron prior to when you were 19. Would you have, just in a bit of retrospect, the question people always ask, do you have any regrets knowing what you know now? Would you go back to the person that you were before? If you were Ron before then, or you were given the chance to go back in time, would you change anything? Would you still remain at NASA? Would you stay with that type of thinking? What kind of person would you be?
Well, that's a really great question. In fact, I would say that my life has had many people, that is really the transformational journey, which Joseph Campbell got into with the Man of a Thousand Faces. When I was studying screenwriting at Screenwriting U, I got a secondary master's degree in that a number of years ago. I started studying screenwriting many, many years ago in order to create films, screenplays about this. And the transformational journey means that you go on a journey in life to discover actually yourself. You're actually looking for who you are through external experiences. You finally realize that we all have great powers within us and that our job is to bring those forth into the world. And to answer your question, no, I would not say that NASA. I'm really glad I didn't, because I would have had, I think, a much more, programmed life then as a function of what they were doing, which is great stuff. I mean, NASA was great. Believe me, I met some of the best people in the world. It was a place of great idealism and pragmatism combined, which is a powerful combination. So very idealistic people working together for a common cause to help conquer space, but also very pragmatic, down to earth. How do we make this happen? So I learned a lot of great things, a lot of great lessons in life to keep the idealism, but also pragmatism. How do we make this work? Like there was one physicist at NASA by the name of Dr. Isidore Adler, who's the father of a good friend of mine, Samuel Adler, who went to medical school and now he's a psychiatrist in Baltimore, great guy. His father's a great guy too. He went to City College in New York City. And I told people about the discovery I'd made at the mind's and energy field. And they all kind of looked at me. One guy said to me, "You should go live in California." That's the kind of response I got. But Dr. Adler said, "You know what? You should go research that." And he spun around his heels, walked down the hall back to his office. And so I did. So I spent many, many years, been 50 years now, over 50 years working on this.
Wow.
But he had insight to it. He was supportive, whereas most people are not. But occasionally when people really do understand it, it give you a lot of support. So no, I would not change anything. I mean, I followed a much more difficult path, but I think I really had to. That was my mission in life, to bring this information to the world, where we combine science and spirit. So the underlying concepts are that science and spirit are really one, expressed in different ways. There's a profound connection between those different areas. But our job, I think, all of us have, is to try to bring that to the world in different ways. We also, I think, have within us dormant capabilities and powers we haven't even dreamed of yet.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah, I know you have thoughts about that.
I'm listening to you because we're really getting into the meat of the matter here now, the true power of the mind. There are dormant opportunities, potential within us. How do we really discover those true potentials, possibilities that is dormant, lying dormant? What do we need to do? Because it's an energy. I could say we could touch the energy if we really align ourselves with that source to be able to take us in that direction. But some people are not doing that. They're so programmed, like you used before, to just go like a robot. You just wake up and do the same routine, monotonous thing every day. And there's a little part of us, Ron, that questions things and says, I could do that. And then the fear factor steps in, the ego steps in. I say, what do you think you're doing? What do you think you're doing? You can't do that. And then you talk to people that don't even know about the area, and you allow them to talk you out of it, as opposed to you just going out there and trying it. How do we really tap into the true power within ourselves, within our mind?
I think we need to walk a higher path in life all the time as best we can, because we need to realign our energy field at a much higher level. The law of attraction was popularized a number of years ago by The Secret, which is a very powerful, informative film. A lot of folks got into the law of attraction, how to attract to you the things you want, but too many folks, I think, lean towards the materialistic side of it. The law of attraction is only one of the laws that we have. We talk about the laws of creation, that our mind is constantly creating our reality as we go along. whether we realize it or not, we're involved in what's called the self-fulfilling prophecy. We create our world by what we think and feel, especially what we feel very strongly. In fact, in quantum field cycling, into the math and physics, how that works, using topological mathematics and so forth, which really explains it for the scientists, the physicists, the engineers out there. But if somebody doesn't like that math and physics, they don't have to. It's okay. They just understand the principles. So we walk a higher path for all times, do the right thing, attitude of gratitude. The most powerful law, no doubt, is to feel love, pure divine love for all people and for the power inside of you and inside of the people as much as you can all the time, no matter what the world throws at you. Say focus on that. You might call it being aligned to God North, kind of like a magnetic north, but God North. Say, for example, you're driving traffic, there's road rage, people are like cutting you off.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't take them on. You don't allow the external to influence you.
Exactly.
Because you are focused. And this is what I tell people. Yeah. I still listen. It doesn't matter what people do me. I still love them.
Right.
Because even if I try to conjure up hate, let's use that word hate. Even if I try, Ron, it just doesn't work. It's not in my system to hate. I don't know what it means to hate. I don't even like to use the word hate. It's like, how could that be? How could somebody look at somebody else and do them harm, want harm? I really don't understand.
Yeah, you're exactly right. If you indulge those negative thoughts and negative feelings, it takes you off focus, takes you away from the higher focus. And not only do you harm other people, but you harm yourself.
Yeah.
Very negative energy that hurts you physically. I've seen a lot of patients over the years, for example, that had anger problems, who then have heart problems because anger can focus in the heart. And what we think about and feel often manifests in psychological problems. And I see this all the time. The person's belief system manifests not only in physical issues and medical problems, but also psychological issues.
Yes.
Thousands of examples of that, certainly, and every therapist out there has seen that certainly as well. We must stay focused on those higher concepts no matter what the world throws at us, and to keep in that space. We talk about the mathematics, how it all works, and what we do is detoxifying. We want to look at the mind. We look at the mind as an energy field, where the wavelength is the spatial frequency times the amplitude times phase, which are Fourier waves. We're also looking into spherical waves, how those work. We're looking at different types of waves the mind projects. But to increase your energy, you increase your frequency by keeping those feelings of pure divine love at all times as best you can. You also increase the amplitude of the energy by detoxifying your system. Detoxify your mind from various pollutants of thought, negative beliefs. Also remove the negative emotions. Dwell only upon the positive emotions of love, harmony, joy, peace. And then also we bring them all into phase. That's the KAP. The P is the phase part. We bring them all into phase and you generate very, very powerful energy to influence the world around you, as various avatars in history have done. Like Christ, Moses, Buddha, Krishna, these folks did this, where they brought themselves a much higher state of level of energy, called the transfiguration and illumination and so forth. So they're in a powerful state of mind.
The thing about it is you're talking about something that you and I can relate to.
Yes.
We can relate to that. But when I interact with people, and I'm sure when you interact with people, there are some people who are they just decide, I am going to stay at a lower frequency. And I don't know if they're aware. You see, it has to do with consciousness, Ron.
Yes.
They just are comfortable being there, no matter how you talk to them. Because I've spoken to people, and no matter what they say to me, I turn it into something positive. And the reaction I get is, why do you have to be so positive about everything? Why do you have to be? I'm like, hold on. What do you want me to do? You want They actually want me to be on the lower frequency with them, talking the negativity. Oh, ho, hum. Oh, woe is me. Oh, everything is wrong with the world. Oh, cuss the government. Oh, cuss my neighbor. Oh. And I'm like, what? I cannot be around you.
Yeah, good for you.
I cannot be around you. And without even sometimes, Ron, without even having to block them. The universe just separates us.
Yes, exactly. Because they pull you down from your higher conscious frequencies, their negative emotions, and people get addicted. This is a very powerful thing to understand. We talk about the architecture of thought, where there's a pyramid of thought, where the highest level has very high frequencies of thought and emotion. The lower levels have those lower emotions, and people get addicted to their emotions and the thoughts, the false beliefs that hold those emotions in place. So, for example, we talk about addictions of alcoholism and drug use and excitement, people jumping off mountains with wings and all this kind of stuff for the adrenaline rush. But at a deeper level, the most powerfully addicting things are thoughts themselves and the emotions attached to them. So we call those thought emotion fixations. And part of the training program we're doing now for quantum field psych and so forth is resolve those fixations and let go of them. But what you're talking about is people come at you and they want you to share their negative emotions, share the self-pity, share the anger, share the depression, because then they feel validated for those negative emotions.
And there are people who are energy vampires. Some people, they like to be attached to you because you are just such high energy. And you're around these people and they drain you. You're like, oh my God, I feel sick. I feel weak every time. And when you're conscious and you realize, when I'm around this person, I don't feel good. I feel like I'm tired. It's like you're hearing their problems to all day, all night. It drains you. You have to make a decision as somebody on a higher frequency. You don't need to have these people in your life. This is what they're actually doing, sucking you dry.
That's right. Yeah. Energy vampires literally are very negative people, usually low self-esteem, negative self-image, who try to feed themselves by draining your energy field. And it's kind of like the metaphor I use is like somebody's out to sea drowning. You try to save them. They climb
put you down.
They climb on top of you so they can breathe for a few more minutes while you drown.
Right?
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And you have to make a decision. But you see, all what you're saying, Ron, and I totally agree with you because I live that life of a higher frequency. You have to feel that confident within yourself to say, because you have friends, people who you consider as friends. And then if you really sit back, you take a few steps back and assess your life. You have to make a conscious, I keep saying the same word over and over because it's important, conscious decision. To say to yourself, look, is this really adding value to my life? Now, some people may say, you're being selfish and you're not trying to be, you're trying to be aloof and you're not trying to understand other people's situation. But you have to understand you and what is best for you. And decide that, look, hanging around these people are not good for you. It is not getting you anywhere. You're not accomplishing. You're not feeling good about yourself. You may end up either physically sick or psychologically sick or both. You're just totally drained all the time. You have to make a decision, and that impacts the power of your own mind because can't function. You cannot function around that environment, and it could be work. So I don't want people to think it's just people. It could be at your work. It could be in relationships. It could be in your marriage. It could be with your children. It could be with your neighbors. It could be the taxi driver. I don't care who it is. And you need to decide, I'm confident enough within myself to change course. If I need to cut off my friendship with Ron, I've known Ron for 30, 40, 50 years. I know, I've allowed this because it's what you allow. I've given permission and I've allowed this to happen. It's time for me to separate. You have to be okay with that.
Yes, like we often tell folks to take nothing personally, because when you take the attacks of others personally or their emotions, you internalize their feelings into your field, which then starts to drive your thoughts and your emotions, and you start to generate these negative thoughts and feelings yourself, which then traps you further. So we create this mental illusion around us, like a constellation of thoughts. I mean, the ego, a huge constellation of delusions around us we hold in place by those negative emotions.
I love that. Constellation of delusions. Because it's like the monkey chatter. You keep hearing all these things blaming you. How could you cut off your relationship with Ron? He did all of these things for you and he was there for you, and they try to justify. No. Yes, he did it and he served a purpose in my life at a particular point in time. And I'm grateful, but I have to let him go.
Yeah. At times you have to do that. It's like, when you go through, I always tell folks, when you go through grade school, you're friends with a lot of people in first grade. By second grade, how many of those are still your friends?
Yeah.
Maybe two, but most are not. You have a new group. And the adult world's like that also. We meet different people constantly. People kind of come and go out of our lives. We have to be aware of how they influence us and how much we can influence them. So, of course, I see all kinds of patients. So I see a lot of folks who are on the vast spectrum of negativity in terms of thoughts and emotions and so forth. And the job is to help them see that and take responsibility for creating that in most cases, and help them transform that to a higher state. And when we see concepts in that way, we do what's called cognitive behavior model, which is the most validated approach to psychotherapy, which also fits with these ideas, interestingly enough. They all fit together. So you can help a lot of people in a lot of ways. I think we all have that mission in life, that job to do, which is why we produced the film. Again, the Endless Questions on Amazon Prime for free. We also are starting a new podcast I'm going to tell you about called Mind Shock, the Endless Question, which will be available soon. We've shot 4 episodes. We're doing more. And those will be available very, very near future.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned that, I hopped across to your website
Okay.
so that we can have a look at that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a shot from, we had a film festival. That's a shot of the first film called Paradise Found 2015. There's two of the actors in it, Destiny Thomas and Daniel Descent, who are now, Daniel's out in California right now and doing great. And so is Destiny. She went to American Film Institute to get trained further. So both great actors, did a great job in the film. It's a short film, 27 minutes. It makes a point of where the ideas came from.
Okay, so I'm seeing
Yeah.
the books here, I Love You,
Yep.
God, and then the endless question. Let's see what's happening here.
Yes.
My computer just froze for a second, so I'm hoping
Okay.
that it, yes, it works here today.
Okay.
So
Yep.
this is it.
Yep. That's it.
This
That's
is
on Amazon.
nice.
Yeah.
So persons can get it on Amazon Prime. Watch on YouTube now. Let's watch a trailer. Let's see if we could hop across and just have a look at the trailer as a great ending to the episode.
Okay, great. It's about a 2-minute plus trailer.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of time, mankind has won war. Tribe killing tribe, family killing family, nation slaughtering nation, genocide at mass scale. What drives humankind to such slaughter? Have you ever been on a bus or in a store? You feel somebody's eyes upon you, turn around, look directly at them. Now, how is that possible? How could you feel that? Then we're going to talk about a whole new theory of mind called quantum field psychology. You mentioned on the phone the other day, people are waking up nationwide like nothing before, and internationally.
People are waking up. It's become part of the conscious conversation. Our mind is actually what determines our lives.
Nikolai Tesla stated that all matter is light or energy, and the mind is energy, which lives beyond the physical body. Many statements made by Tesla parallel the major concepts of quantum field psychology. How do we draw from that mind so that we tune into the creative dimension of this thing?
There is nothing but energy in this universe.
Pretty phenomenal to think about that we have that much energy just in our the synapses of our brain. Could it be we all have dormant powers lying within, so far untapped?
Quantum science now is showing us how everything in the universe is made up of the same light, of the same consciousness, of the same material. So you, I, the trees, the universe, down to every subatomic particle is actually made of the same. And it boils down in our terminology to mind, consciousness. That is the key of how we're made.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. A little encapsulation of some of the folks involved in the film and whatnot, and some of the things they said. But it really is a kind of a fun adventure to go on if people are open to it. It takes an open mind, of course, to explore these new ideas.
That's
We
right.
talked about before, some are open to it, some are not. But people are open to some new ideas, some integrations of thought. Check it out. It's free on Amazon, and all our books are also on Amazon, the four books you mentioned. And the new podcast will be available too on YouTube and so forth. So
that's awesome. And the saying is right. There are people waking up. I can sense it. I can feel it.
Yeah.
There are people waking up. There are people around the world that are waking up. Something is moving. I can feel it. Something is shifting in the world. And
Yes.
people are questioning, people are asking, people are seeking, people are meditating, people are becoming more and more aware. And over time, I know it's going to have an envelope sort of type of effect there will be, obviously, because you know there's a law of polarity and the law of balance, and there will be people who will be against it and fight it. But
Right.
the conscious, be conscious. The thing is that you can be an independent thinker,
Yes.
and you can be aligned with the source, the universe, God, whoever you wish to call it, or whatever you wish to call it, him or her. And you know, once you're aligned with that energy that provides creation, that created all what we see, you cannot go wrong. You cannot go wrong.
I think you're exactly right. The world is awakening little by little, step by step, and we're doing what we can to help it. I know you are too with your great program.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Ron.
Thank you.
I appreciate you with the work that you have done over the many years. Coming from a scientific background, it's such an honor to be working at NASA. I mean, every time you hear NASA, it's like a big thing. And at 17 to be at NASA, that is serious. That is serious. I congratulate you on all your achievements and the achievements to come. And keep doing the work you do, no matter what resistance that comes at you. And you know, you see, once you know you're going to meet resistance, that's half the battle won already.
It is. It is. You're exactly right. And thank you for the great work you're doing in your show. It's been a real great pleasure to be here with you and share with your audience these ideas. And I hope we can talk again.
We will. And please let me know how you're doing so that if we need to do an update, we can get back on here and let people know.
Okay. Great.
Thank
I'd love
you
to.
so much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it very much.